good morning. Sorry we're running a little late. We had a little technical difficulty or two this morning with some printing and all, but we're here to go. Got a lot of folks that want to present to us today, so we're going to try to be as courteous as we can and as fast as we can, and brevity is a virtue. And so we're going to call on Representative Jaspers to open us up with a word of prayer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If we bow our heads together, Heavenly Father, thank you for this glorious day. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to be here, to be wise, to use your word as our guide, and your hand in our healing of our friends. You know, I had a friend call me last night with serious illness, and I'm thinking about him, and know you've got your hands around Terry England and his healing. And Lord, please put your hands around us. Keep us healthy. It's a stressful time. We know you're looking after us, and also you have us use your wisdom is what we do. In your name, amen.
Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Bethany Ballard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I have HB 307, which is LC 492309S. This bill does several things. It removes outdated language of programs that do not align with the science of reading standards that we passed in 2023. It adds dyslexia to the Georgia Early Literacy Act, and the substitute portion of the bill creates the structure of the Literacy Coach Coordination Committee. And I'm sorry, this is on the third page, HB 307. And it ensures our coaches, our literacy coaches, get quality instruction. And I think if y'all have any questions, I think Chairman Irwin has some things to add to this as well.
Okay, we're going to call on Chairman Irwin to punch your button there. So there we go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And members, if you look at the bill here, you'll see lines, we've put a substitute with lines 332 through 350. And as Representative Ballard said, it establishes within the Office of Student Achievement the Georgia Literacy Plan Coordinating Committee. And then if you look at the lines all the way down to 350, those are the duties of the committee, trying to coordinate this literacy effort that we have.
Mr. Chairman, let's make sure we understand we're talking about the substitute, the 307 LC 492309S, correct?
Yes, sir, that's exactly
good.
right.
Okay, you finish your explanation?
Yes, sir.
Okay, have any questions? Yeah. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the rule substitute to. We got a motion and a second that we adopt the rule substitute to 307. That's LC 492309S. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, it passes. It's been adopted. Thank you. Okay, who's next? Yes, ma'am. She'll come up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I have on page 5, HB 545, LC number 481506. And this bill was passed on the House last year, and it went over to the Senate, came out the committee and the Rules Committee, but it died the last night on Sunday dive. So this bill is the Terry Act. And the current statute does not make it clear as to who the appellant makes the request for the transcripts with. And the small change that we're asking for is listed on lines 21 through 24. And this small change will allow the process to be the same in all courts in Georgia. And so I'm asking for your due pass and favorable consideration once again. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, ma'am. Don't see any questions. Thank you. Chair Lady Kemp.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am here for HB 331, which is on the bottom third of the third page. HB 331 is LC 443108S. It's a bill that is a consumer protection bill, but it's also an animal protection bill. This is a measure that anytime consideration is involved, animals can be sold in a litany of places. The bill talks about homes, veterinarian offices, your business, police department, sheriff's department. If someone has a valid license from the Department of Agriculture, they can sell 4-H shows, FFA events, breeding club events, but not selling in a parking lot. There's no consumer protection for individuals if they buy an animal in a parking lot or alongside the road. Additionally, oftentimes those individuals who are selling the animals are involved in levels of organized crime from out of our state. This is a measure that is supported by the Department of Agriculture, and I'm open for any questions.
Okay. Don't see any questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Carrie Ann Mathiak.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Chairman and Committee. I have two bills. Can I present both of them?
Sure.
My first bill is on page 2 at the top, House Bill 170. We passed this through last year. This simply provides that if a licensed healthcare provider makes a written request to an insurer for payments made for the provider's services, that they would have an EOB sent to them. And there's a 30-day limit on it. This is simply gives disclosure to the provider of the amount paid by the insured, and it's a written request.
Okay, don't see any questions. What's your other one?
Thank you. My other bill is House Bill 323, and it's on about in the middle of page 3. And this legislation provides affordable Medigap coverage to under 65 individuals with ALS or end-stage renal disease. Medigap plans cover usually the 20% of out-of-pocket costs that Medicare does not cover. Federal law requires insurers to provide Medicare enrollees age 65 and older, but not under. So that's what this bill does.
Through. Don't see any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And committee.
Yes, ma'am. Representative Glaze.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members. I stand before you to present House Bill 373, which is at the top of page 4. This bill simply seeks to provide early detection and treatment for prostate cancer for men who are 40 to 49 years old with a family history of prostate cancer, or their doctor has deemed it medically necessary for them to have the annual PSA or DRE test. This bill will help save lives if detected early. I ask for your favorable consideration.
Thank you, ma'am. Don't see any questions. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Thank you, Chairman and members. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today about HB 516. It's on the blue sheet. It's 5th page, 5th one down. We're working with LC 501173 sub. This bill allows county and regional libraries and community service boards to conduct meetings through teleconferencing. Currently, state law allows for statewide agencies to meet remotely. However, public libraries and community service boards are not included in this provision. And that's the bill.
Okay, we have a question. Chairman Jaspers.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for bringing this bill. But I just see these come through, and I wonder, how does this increase or decrease participation by the community members that may have an issue with one of these boards or may want to speak to them? Seems very impersonal, and these are very personal, both of these boards are.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. So a lot of these meetings happen at night, and they're all voluntary situations. And some of these, like librarians, some of their regions cover 7 counties. They start at 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. They go on to whatever. And so a lot of members can't make these meetings because of family obligations, community obligations. And so this would allow, because we're having a hard time getting people to serve on these boards, retention on these boards, and then, of course, being good stewards of our taxpayers' dollars, because if there's not enough people at these meetings, they cannot have a quorum. Therefore, the business of libraries in our regional area, as well as our community service boards, they can't get anything done because they don't have a quorum.
Okay, have a question, Chairman Smith?
Thank you. Over here, over on the other side. Thank you for bringing this issue before us. My question is, can a constituent, is there time for public comment in these meetings?
As I understand it, there are, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. No other questions. Thank you.
Thank you, committee.
Senator, come on up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm here to tell you about Senate Bill 5, which is on page 5, about halfway down. You've seen this bill before. It has to do with prior authorization, and it is to help patients and doctors, and believe it or not, insurance companies, by creating a fast-track program for providers that consistently get approved for their procedures. And it requires the insurance companies to have a program like that and report to the insurance commissioner what the program is. Doesn't tell them how they have to set up the program. So I've worked with the industry, the insurance commissioner's office, and the physician community, and be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Don't see any questions. Thank you. Hey, Vance, go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I have HB 358. It's the last one on page 3. This bill strictly adds a definition of military installation to the code section referenced on line 1. It's strictly a definition bill.
Okay. Don't see any questions. Thank you. Senator, glad to have you with us today.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. I'm honored to be back. On page 5, about 6 from the bottom, SB 81 is our Motor Vehicle Franchise Practice Act. It simply it regulates the relationship between our automobile dealers and manufacturers. We're fortunate in this state that the two sides come together early and work out their differences, and this bill is a product of that.
You have a question? Okay. Leader?
Mr. Chairman, good morning. Good to see you, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Leader.
I want to thank you for bringing the bill. I'm aware, on another topic, I'm aware the House has already passed several Senate bills, including one of yours. Good to see you back before crossover day. I was just curious, how many bills has the Senate put on the floor for passage of House bills? So
how many House bills? Well, we did the most important House bill. That was, I believe, HB 67 we passed yesterday.
Very good. Well, thank you very much.
With your favorable changes in it.
Yes, sir.
Good. Okay. Well, you stayed there long enough and got a question. Chairman Powell.
Is it not true that this bill is supported by all the manufacturers and the dealers, that everybody came together on this in one group is something that's unusual?
That is absolutely true.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Don't see any other questions.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the committee. I rise to present House Bill 413. This bill clarifies Georgia code and defines portable sawmill operations as an agricultural practice. This recognizes that most farms in Georgia are small farms, and all small farms rely on multiple income streams. So this protects one of those income streams. On line 35 and 36 of the bill, it also specifically states that it doesn't prohibit or impair any local government to adopt any ordinances or zoning they feel necessary.
you have a question? Give Mr. Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Representative, for bringing the bill. I'm a bit familiar with these portable sawmills. I was just wondering what spurred the initiative.
This, again, it's an initiative to protect the multiple income streams that our small farmers rely on, specifically in your more urban areas through zoning and regulations. Local governments have a tendency to try to clip off various aspects of farming operations that allow them to be viable. State law doesn't allow local governments to regulate animal husbandry or crop rotation or agricultural practices, so this just clearly states that it is one that they can't mess with.
Very good. Thank you for bringing the bill. Is your opinion this could be helpful in some of the downed trees with Hurricane Helene?
It is. So this, the lumber that goes into our commercial sawmills is a completely different supply chain. All of the lumber that goes in these little mills would either go in a landfill or be burned or chipped. It's all trash, basically, in the eyes of commerce.
Thank you for the bill.
Sir, thank you.
Thank you. Well, we have one more question.
Are you aware of an instance in which a local government did not allow this to take place?
I am. I'm aware of an instance where a local government shut down one on a 250-acre farm and told them they had to move it to an area zone commercial.
Thank you.
Got it. Thank you, Representative Jenkins. Don't see any other questions.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Representative Hong.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I have a House bill and a House resolution essentially doing the same. It's House Bill 486, which is very top of page 5, and House Resolution 273, which is in the middle of the same page. After further discussion, I think we are going to move forward with just the House resolution on this. Essentially, we have, as you know, we have a great relationship with South Korea and all the businesses that do business here in Georgia. And one of the major cities in South Korea, Incheon, and the mayors and the councilmen have asked us to become a city-state, for our Georgia to become a city-state. And so this resolution will essentially celebrate our business workings with them. Incheon has one of the largest airports. It's a major port city. And so we wanted to go ahead and continue to celebrate our relationship with them. So again, wanted to move forward with the House Resolution 273, and but not the bill for this year.
Good. Thank you. Don't see any questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Representative Reese.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, and good morning to the committee, and thank you. I'm here for House Bill 427, page 4, closer to the bottom, a little bit in the middle there. What this bill does is it simply aims to give notice to a carved-out group of individuals with deed transfers to try to help with stop some of the deed fraud that we've seen, particularly in rural parts of Georgia with some of our men and women in uniform. This bill was worked on by many partners to try to make sure that we minimize as much disruption as possible to the clerk's operation. The clerks are in support of this. We work with the real estate community as well as the banking community and the credit union community.
Okay.
Any questions?
Don't see any questions. Thank you,
Mr.
sir.
Chairman.
Representative Gaines.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On top of page 3, House Bill 296, I presented this a couple days ago, but had to make some minor tweaks. Mobile driver's license, if you get pulled over by a law enforcement officer within 2 years, all agencies would be able to accept the mobile driver's license.
Okay. Don't see any questions. Thank
And I
you,
had
sir.
one other one I wanted to mention.
Okay.
It just came out of committee yesterday, but House Bill 454, which is the Vince Dooley Battlefield Trust Act, that allows for greater preservation of our battlefields across the state of Georgia.
Okey-doke.
Thank you.
No questions. Thank you. Representative Martinez.
Thank you so much, Chairman and Committee. I got House Bill 325, which is page 3 in the middle. It's LC 461-1038. Basically, it's a bill that allows a military judge to enter a military protective order against guardsmen who is an alleged perpetrator of a crime who is now stalking a victim. Unlike a protective order that is currently available, this order will apply to guardsmen who is the alleged perpetrator 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, regardless of what duty status he or she is in. And it also gives the guardsman who is an alleged victim the same protections they would if he or she were on active duty installation. And I would take any questions.
Okay. Don't see any questions. Thank you,
Thank you.
sir. Representative Franklin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. This is on page 4, a little bit further down, House Bill 428, LC number 461090. And what we want to do here is just codify the in vitro fertilization into law so that we can have it safe and secure for Georgia and all Georgia families. We're not trying to do anything that's not already been done or being done in Georgia right now.
Okay. Don't see any questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Chairman Yurda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I bring you House Bill 304. It's on page 3, the third one down. This bill just creates a statutory recognizes the Georgia Municipal Court Clerks Council. We passed this bill last year and it didn't quite get to the finish line over in the Senate. Again, this helps to assist in standardizing operations of the municipal courts and add professionalism to the courts. And these folks are so passionate about trying to get this done, they asked me to carry it again. So I'm asking you to support this legislation. It will increase the education and better run our municipal courts in Georgia. And the judges, municipal court judges, also support this legislation.
Okay. Don't see any questions. Thank you, sir. Chairman Dickey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members. This morning I bring you HB 495. It's the top of page 5. We've got a wonderful Center for Rural Prosperity that has been doing wonderful work for our small communities and counties all over Georgia, all the way from the north to the south. A very modest budget, but it's been leveraging lots of grants for helping these small communities. It has been attached to USG, to ABAC, and we are asking that it be moved over to Department of Ag. It just better aligns over there than with USG, and that's all this bill does.
Okay. Don't see any questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Come on up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the committee, I have two bills that I'd like to present. The first one is House Bill 204. It is about a fourth of the way down on page 2, LC number 550367. This bill proposes to repeal the authority of the Department of Public Safety to establish rates, fares, and charges for the moving of household goods. And that's what the bill does. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Okay. I don't see any questions. You got another one?
I do.
Mr.
Chairman, I'd like to present it again, House Bill 225. I presented it the other day, and we had a number of questions about it. But I would like to present that again. That bill has 100 co-signers, and I would like to ask the committee's favorable consideration in passing that bill on to the floor. Be glad to answer any questions.
Representative Martin, you got a question?
Chairman Lau, I wasn't quick enough. I just have a inquiry on 204,
Okay.
if you'd allow it. But back to your 204 about the setting of rates. In your opinion, is this a consumer-friendly thing that if they weren't set, it would be more competitive, or if they're not set, it's going to be harder on our consumers? I'm thinking I know the answer that it's going to provide us.
Thank you for the question, Mr. Chairman. I think it is very consumer-friendly, and basically it's a free market issue to let the free market set what moving companies charge to move household goods.
Thank you, sir. Don't see any more questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Cox, come on up.
Thank you. House Bill 391, which is on page 4, fourth one from the top. Shifting and removing the 5 organizations that are kickboxing organizations that currently are under amateur status, but there's no regulations on their health and safety. So we're removing those and moving them to where they will be regulated under the Georgia Athletic and Entertainment Commission.
Okay, no questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Representative McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I bring you HB 255 LC 394662S, and what this bill aims to do is there are 2 great groups, organizations, Southern University alumni, as well as the Delta Sigma Theta, to give them some special tags to get some revenue.
Okay, don't see any questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Representative Gilliard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I bring you House Bill 303. It is on page 3, second from the top. House Bill 303 LC 600065. It's a bill that we've had that's come through committee, and actually it was set on sine die about two years ago, and we just didn't get time. It is the bill that commemorates 33 great Americans, the original 33. And we're asking, the monument is a suffice of a template in the Georgia State Capitol with 33 names of these great Americans.
Okay, don't see any questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. About middle of the 3rd page, House Bill 320 is a measure that passed unanimously out of the Natural Resources Committee. It says for solar panels used in large-scale solar projects, when they reach the end of their life cycle, we don't want them taking up space in our landfills. We want them to be recycled.
Okay. Don't see any, what do have a question too? I'm sorry, Chairman Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Your bill came through the Natural Resource and Environment Committee, and is it not true, one of the points you made, that this recycled material can be reused through other processes? If you could just explain that briefly.
It makes sense economically, and it also makes sense environmentally, and I appreciate that question. I also have another bill on the yellow sheet, if I could, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, go ahead.
House Bill 298 is a measure that passed unanimously out of the Health Committee that deals with codifying some best practices in terms of fostering a dialogue between our frontline nurses and our hospital administration.
Don't see any questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I ask for favorable consideration.
Okay, Representative Thomas, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman Committee. I'm here to present House Bill 461. It's a bill known as the Motorcycle Mobility Safety Act. Basically what it does is it requires, sometimes motorcycles don't always trip off the magnetic sensor for a light. So what it does is after 2 cycles, it allows the motorcyclist to go. Legislation's been passed in about 13 states in 23, and last year there was 6 more states. So it's just bringing us in line with the other, or other states in the area. That open for questions.
Okay. No questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Chairman LaHood.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. I bring to you House Bill 314. It's related to athletic trainers. The Practice Act for athletic trainers has not been updated since 1977. So what this does is bring some clarity to their role and scope. It's clear in here that this is not to expand their scope. It's just to bring some clarity and to make sure that bad actors aren't holding themselves out as athletic trainers, and that consumers know who they can go to and who physicians can prescribe their care to. So, Mr. Chairman, if there's any questions, I'll take any.
Okay. Don't see any questions.
All
Thanks,
right,
sir.
thanks. And I ask for favorable consideration.
Thank you. Representative Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members. I bring before you 2 bills today. first bill is page 1, third from the top, on a modified structure in House Bill 54. And it simply just allows PAs to be able to sign off on home health services, and it would help specifically in rural Georgia with healthcare and helping out with those who need it. I'd be glad to take any questions on that one.
Okay, don't see any questions on that one. Well,
Sec-
excuse me, there is a question. Okay, go ahead.
I had a question, Representative. Are nurse practitioners already allowed to do this?
No, they're not. This bill simply has PAs in there. We had some discussion in committee. I mean, I would like it in there, but there was some back and forth, and so currently, right now in this bill, it's PAs.
So usually we try to have those because they offer similar services, and frankly, there are many more nurse practitioners that work in rural areas than PAs because there are far fewer PAs, and they tend to work in specialties. I'm just curious, but I'll get with the author. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay.
And the second bill is page 1, fifth from the top, and this one would require health benefit policy coverage for medically necessary orthotic and prosthetic
That's
devices.
87.
87, sorry, House Bill 87. Fifth from the top, page 1.
Okay.
And that was passed by unanimous vote in the Health Committee.
Okay. Don't see any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Come on up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee. I have a HB 422. It's a state health benefit plan. It was passed unanimously out of the Senate, the House and the Senate last year, and the governor vetoed it due to not having a fiscal note. This year I've added a fiscal note. It's a state, it saves the state money. Essentially what it does is it allows the people that enrolled in a state health savings account to get put into the state health savings account pre-taxed. It's a very good bill, very cost saving to the state. I'll stand for any questions.
Okay. Don't see any questions. Thank you, Representative McCollum.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Reeves.
Thank you, Chairman Parrish. Members of the Rules Committee, I'm requesting two bills, House Bill 132 and then House Bill 270. House Bill 132 on page 1, this provides a statutory jurisdictional basis for our cities to hire senior municipal court judges to hear our traffic tickets and other citations. Right now you got full-time municipal court judges, part-time municipal court judges. This allows judges with 10 or more years of service to be on a list to be engaged by the cities on a more temporary basis as senior judges. It doesn't cost the state any money, and the municipalities will handle that.
Okay.
Thank you. The second bill, House Bill 270, on the blue sheet it says Eviction Service and Airplane Evictions Act, but LC 481536S, which is before you, struck the airplane evictions provisions. This bill now merely pertains to private process service of evictions, which was the custom for 100 years or more, but the Court of Appeals decision last year, the MINUSCO case, had a statutory interpretation that was unexpected. This law conforms service of evictions to the other civil service in 911-4 for Title 44 evictions.
Okay. Don't see any questions. Thank you.
And House Bill 315, which I requested previously, we can withdraw that request. We've got a Senate bill to work with. They'll work with us on our language.
Okay. Thank you. Representative Ridley.
Good morning. I've got House Bill 551. It's on page 5, about halfway down. And this is just a continuation of something we've been trying to do for about 5 or 6 years now, with the legal use of the TOPS and temporary operating permits and the misuse of dealer tags that people are putting on cars and not paying taxes on them. And this ceases to fix that issue.
Okay. Don't see any questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Representative Hilton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. If you turn with me to page 3, House Bill 340, about 3/4 of the way down. Beginning with the 2026-27 school year, schools in Georgia will have a cell phone free policy for grades K through 8 School systems in Georgia implemented a similar policy of seeing grades go up, fights go down, and visits to the school counselor go down. So it's working, and would love to bring it here to Georgia.
Okay, we've got a question for you. Representative Williams?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To the author of the bill, you're referring to grades. What grades did you say?
Kindergarten through 8th grade.
Kindergarten through 8th grade.
Yes, sir.
A follow-up. Is there any reason that you did not include all grades in a school?
There was an appetite in committee to do so. We settled on K through 8 because we wanted to kind of build a cell phone free culture in those grades. And as those kids graduate, get into 9 through 12, I think we will absolutely revisit this and expand that in the coming years.
Is it not true that in Liberty County, all grades have been forbidden, and we have seen the results that you're talking about? It's just unbelievable, and test scores have even gone up.
I will never question what you know about Liberty, and if it's working in Liberty, let's bring it to everywhere else.
Okay. Don't see any more questions. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Chairman.
Well, there is a nope, you pass? Okay, never mind. We're done. Any members? Like a Christmas tree up here. Let's see. Whip, you got one? How about that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have House Bill 425 is on your yellow sheets. It's at the bottom of page 4. And what this seeks to do is to prepare our state for the next natural disaster by allowing for a tax credit to convenience stores, grocery stores, and nursing care facilities for the installation of a generator.
Okay. If you have a question, raise your hand so I can. Okay. No questions on that, right? Okay. Mr. Leader, you have one?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the middle of page 4, HB 416, several years ago we created what's classified as an enterprise zone, areas where there's a $400 million proposed investment and the area's been chronically underdeveloped for 20 plus years, there's special status that can be provided. This is really cleanup legislation around that due to a delay in the implementation at the Gulch, and also just an existing unintended loophole which may be in existing law. It's just to clean that up. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Any questions on that 416? I don't see any. Is that all
Thank you.
have?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Vice Chair, you got one? Yeah. Request.
Sorry.
Yeah.
No question.
No request, yeah.
I do. I have two. I have House Bill 406. It's on page 4, about a quarter of the way down. That bill would, for future judges, that is judges who take office after July 1 of this year, increase the retirement age from 60 to 65. And the judges have approved it. Then House Bill 530, that bill simply allows electronic filing in probate courts. It's patterned after the same statute that authorized electronic filing in superior courts. And those are the two bills, Mr. Chairman. Glad to answer any questions.
Any questions on those? Don't see any questions. Okay.
Thanks.
Chairman Stevens, you have a request?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have two on page 2. House Bill 219 is the bill that passed last year that places an organization for impaired nurses to get them back to work and incentivizes them to do that, just like doctors, dentists, and pharmacists do today.
Okay. Don't see any questions on that one.
Second bill is on page 5. House Bill 66 at the bottom allows these heavily modified vehicles to be taxed TABT under the category of motor coaches so that they can split their payments up to 2 payments.
Okay, don't see any questions on that. Thank you. Leader Hughley, do you have a request?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. On behalf of Representative Bennett, I'd like to request House Bill 563, and it is on page 5. about middle of the page. And basically, this bill authorizes licensed physical therapists to certify a person is disabled for the purposes of special vehicle decals.
Any questions on that? Don't see any. Okay. Let's see. Chairlady Taylor, is that you?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Committee. Today I bring for you House Bill 420, located on page 4, halfway down, LC 0769S. This bill was passed out of insurance. It concerns family members of cancer patients. It states that genetic testing will be covered by insurance companies. Currently, there's no consistency in how they cover them. Now they will be covered effective July 1st, 2025, to provide coverage as any other illness.
Okay. Any questions on that? Don't see any. That's it? Okay. Chairman Newton, Dr. Newton, you have a question or a request?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On page 5, House Bill 515, just as where the Judicial Qualification Commission has recognized the need for an additional judge in Georgia, and that would just authorize a 6th judge for the Augusta Circuit, which includes Augusta, Richmond County, and Burke County.
Okay. Don't see any questions. Okay. Chairman Blackman, is that you?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just going to mention HB 290 is the IRC update on page 6 under structured. And then a companion piece to that on the yellow sheet is page 2, HB 165, carried by Representative Franklin.
Okay.
Which is couples with the feds on a disaster relief component.
Okay. Don't see any questions. Okay. Chairman Powell, you have a request?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On page 4, House Bill 455, this modernizes the bingo statutes in the state of Georgia. For years, basically bingo has always been defined under state law that all proceeds go to not-for-profit and charitable organizations. We have a resort in this state that has had bingo games since the 1930s. It's quite renowned. They raise a lot of money for charitable organizations around the state, especially in South Georgia. And we're modernizing these statutes. Some of what we're doing is, since these folks have to be posted of what they're doing, we're changing from a single location to multiple, so that in their case, where they're having these bingo games in one ballroom, they can move them to another. We're raising the prize amounts per session from $3,000 to $6,000, but to also remember that they can only have 31 sessions per month, but we're allowing them to go from 1 to 3 up to 3 sessions a day if they wish, but still we're limited to 31 per month. And then last but not least, under this old statute, they can only pay somebody no more than $30 a day. We're saying that they can pay them up to $150 a session. They do auctioneers that do these type of things, and they're finding it hard to get an auctioneer to volunteer their time.
Okay.
Secondly, if there's no question, secondly, I'd also like to take a bill that I've already presented, House Bill 247, the DUI schools and the driver improvement schools in this state, that for whatever reason it was a will of previous legislatures that these schools were always, their fees were set, and these folks hadn't had any fee increases in about 12 and 14 years respectively, from the driver improvement schools to the DUI schools. And this gives them a bump to keep up with inflation and all the stuff they've gone through.
Okay. Any questions for Chairman Powell? I don't see any. Chairman Carson, did you have a request?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. On the last page, House Bill 290, just like Chairman Blackman mentioned, a number of tax practitioners are waiting that for our tax season. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Chairlady Taylor, did you have something? Okay. Have we got all the committee members' requests? Okay. Before we set our calendars, a couple of little housekeeping measures we want to do here. I would like to hear a motion to recommit House Bill 198 back to the Education Committee. Do I have a motion and a second? Any opposition? It's back in education. House Bill 185, I'd like to ask that it be recommitted to regulated industries.
So moved.
Have a motion and a second. Any opposition? It's recommitted. And the last one, House Bill 246, recommit back to public safety and homeland security.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any opposition? Okay, that's back. All right, now, let's do this. Let's set a supplemental calendar for today, Thursday. Under modified structure, House Bill 94.
Move.
Have a motion and second. Is there any opposition? It's on. Under House Bill 329.
Move.
Moved and seconded. Any opposition? It's on. House Bill 428.
Move.
Moved and seconded. Any opposition? It's on. Okay, that'll be our supplemental calendar for today. Now, let's set a calendar for Friday. That'll be Legislative Day 25. Under modified structure, House Bill 240.
Move.
Moved and seconded. Any opposition? It's on. House Bill 303.
Move.
Moved and seconded. Any opposition? It's on. House Bill 307 by rule substitute, LC 492309S.
Move.
Moved and seconded. Is there any opposition? It's on. House Bill 373.
Move.
Moved and seconded. Any opposition? It's on. House Bill 377.
Move.
Moved and seconded. Any opposition? It's on. House Bill 422.
Move.
Moved and seconded. It's on. House Bill 423.
Move.
Moved and seconded. Any opposition? It's on. House Bill 495.
Move.
Have a move and second. Any opposition? It's on. Okay, under structured, House Bill 66.
Move.
Moved and seconded. Any opposition? It's on. House Bill 475.
Move.
Moved and seconded. Any opposition? It's on. Okay, I'm going to go over these again quickly for you. For supplemental calendar for today, Thursday, House Bill 94, House Bill 329, House Bill 428. For Friday's calendar, under modified structure, House Bill 240, House Bill 303, House Bill 307 by rule substitute, LC 492309S, House Bill 373, House Bill 377, House Bill 422, House Bill 423, House Bill 495. Under structured, House Bill 66, House Bill 475. Thank you very much. We are adjourned.